These are the 3 most requested updates inside of ERLC, and this isn't just based off my opinion. I asked 100 people to vote on a survey which ones they think are the most requested, and we're going to go through the results in this video. Drop a like, subscribe if you enjoy, let me know in the comments what you want to be added to ERLC, and let's get straight into it. So out of the 100 responses on the survey that we did, the 3rd most popular one was boats/water related content. So let's talk about it. Boats and water related content. Definitely a highly requested update for sure, and I always hear people talking about it. Now I know the quality on this is kind of bad, but most of us have probably seen this screenshot. It's a pickup truck on the fire department team with a trailer with just a small little boat on it. Obviously we don't want to have massive yachts and cruise ships and cargo ships inside of ERLC. That would not make sense and would be stupid. But little boats like this would be incredible. We have trailers. This wouldn't be too difficult for the developers to do. And also this truck in general is just really cool, especially if it was to have an interior. But a boat like this would be really cool. I've also got another screenshot of it here, which is kind of like a similar boat, but how it would work actually in the water. Just a nice little raft for people to use for rescues on the FD, and maybe fire can have one as well. And then maybe there can be a couple of civilian versions for people to put on a trailer and head down to maybe the fishing area and drop it into the lake and go for a nice drive around or cruise around on their little boat. That is all we want. I know some people obviously want like huge bigger boats, but just something like that would be awesome to start off with. Imagine just going over here with your, I don't know, your Ford Bronco or something, parking up down here, maybe they added a boat launch section, and just launching your boat and going for a ride around in that water. That would be incredible. Or even if the developers don't want to do that, we have this little boat here that was added when this lake was added. Even just something like this, if you could just spawn it in perhaps, or just be able to put it on the back of a trailer and just row around in it, that would also be a really good starting point. Just in this little lake here, that would be awesome. Of course, there are other water related things aside from boats. Maybe they could add like a little water rescue thing. Literally anything to do with boats or water related content, people would be happy with. Whether it's a jet ski, whether it's a little life raft like we just saw, or even just one of them tiny little rowing boats that you can row around on. Anything would be perfect. But I want to hear your thoughts on boats in the comments below. So let me know, and let's move on to the next one, which is one I've been talking about for a while, and that is motorbikes or motorcycles, whatever you want to call them, depending on where you're from. Would be an insane update for them to add. And honestly, I think the fact that we have these little ATVs or quad bikes, UTVs, four-wheelers, whatever you want to call them, given that we have these in ERLC, I think it's a no-brainer that motorcycles will probably eventually get added. Other games can do it like Southwest Roader. Why can't ERLC? I really don't have much to say about this. It would just be a really awesome update. Imagine being able to put them on the back of a trailer and driving around. Or maybe we can have an ATV and a motorbike on a trailer. Or maybe we can have dirt bikes or racing bikes. Just a variety of different stuff to do with motorbikes would be really cool. They can have classic bikes. They can have modern bikes. They can have dirt bikes. They can have literally any kind of bike. And it would be really cool. Obviously, apart from a pedal bike. Although that would still be pretty cool, to be honest. But the pictures you're seeing on screen right now, the kind of bikes I'm talking about, stuff like this would be insane. There's been so many Photoshop suggestions for them in ERLC already, and yeah, hopefully all of these updates that I'm talking about are updates that we will eventually see at some point. It's just a matter of when. So yeah, again, let me know in the comments if you want to see bikes get added. But the final thing I want to talk about is the biggest one by far, and it got a whopping 66% of the votes. Imagine it was 1% more, am I right? Map expansion. Yes, everybody wants a map expansion. And it's a shame we haven't had one in a long time. It used to be a tradition that we'd get a map expansion pretty much every summer update for ERLC, but I think the last 2 summer updates we haven't had one. 2025, no changes to the map really. 2024, also not really any changes to the map. I think the last one we had was in 2023. It might even have been the year before that, and I still don't think it was that significant. We've not even had a revamp of the city buildings. Like, I'm gonna mention this one again. I always talk about this building. I think it's been 6 years now, 6 single years, and this building has not been touched once. Every other building in the city, even these ones, these empty filler buildings, have been updated and refreshed, I think twice. They've had 2 different updates over the span of the 5 years, and this one has been here the whole time. Even if it's not a map expansion, an update to some of the buildings at least. Maybe a refresh to the road layout, because changing that up is really, really good for keeping players engaged. For me, playing ERLC so much every day, the map is definitely boring by now. It feels like I've driven on every single road a million times over. So having at least a revamp to some of the map would be good. And of course, talking about a map expansion, there's some really, really simple things they could do. Even just expanding the highway and expanding the map a tiny little bit and looping the highway round and connecting it up here. Then adding a little maybe slip road that merges off somewhere here and adding maybe a little industrial area over here is all we need. Maybe a couple more houses along the way, maybe a new housing estate, maybe a new little farms area, just something like that. We don't need an entire new Springfield style town for a map expansion, just something that gives us a couple of new roads and a couple of new areas to explore in the map. Because I get PLC don't want to make the map really, really big, and they don't want to increase the server size too much to make it laggy, or the map to make it laggy, but just something would be really, really cool to keep players engaged and keep the game feeling fresh. And I also want to add on a few extra things that didn't make it to the top 3 list, but are definitely something that people would want. And one of them that surprised me that people actually wrote down as an option was custom liveries for civilian vehicles. So we have obviously the custom liveries on police team and some job vehicles, but they mean on the civilian team, where you could maybe add a custom livery which acts as a vehicle wrap for your car. That would be a really, really, really unique addition, and I don't think any other game does that. And to be honest, probably would be one of the easiest features that they could add, because they already have the entire system built for police cars. So why can't they just do it again for civilian vehicles? I don't know. And another interesting one I want to talk about is a house update, which again, I think is probably going to happen sooner rather than later. A house update is a very, very good idea, and these houses have been in the game for a long, long time. So getting an update, getting a refresh to these houses would be just very beneficial and would keep, again, as I said earlier, the roleplay feeling fresh, because roleplaying the same roleplays in the same houses, doing the same scenarios on the same map, driving the same roads, driving the same cars over and over again after so long, it does get boring, which is why a lot of ERLC players nowadays feel like the game's dying, even though it's not. They just feel bored of the map and they feel like nothing fresh gets added. Because if you think about it, in the PRC updates, which is no fault, okay, nice, just pit maneuvered by an ambulance, is no fault of the PRC developers, there's just not that many features added to keep players playing. You know, there's not many refreshes, not many things that keep people excited and give a reason to play the game. So maybe more things like that could be good in the future. Everybody, let me know your thoughts in the comments. That is all I have for this video. I've done plenty of videos on map expansion, Photoshop suggestions, so go check that out if you want to see some actual photoshopped designs. But thank you very much for watching. Drop a like, subscribe, check everything else from the description. Hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!